Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production. Welcome to 2025. I thought the first video I'd show would be a continuation of some of the things I've been doing. Before I showed you how to create glitch sounds, today I'm going to show you how you can kind of transform your samples or any samples, especially like Foley samples, into kind of a glitchy thing you might hear in modern music, especially with those kinds of spectral, watery sounds. And you can basically do that with, I shouldn't say any sample, but most samples, especially like textured samples. So I have two here I made myself. One sounds like this. So this is just me walking outside. I record that binaurally, actually. So if you listen to this with headphones, it should be interesting. And here's another one. Okay, so I'm going to use these just for reference, but of course you could use whatever you want. What we're going to use for this is MTransformer, so let's just put that on here. Do I have in the recently used? Yeah, MTransformer right there. Okay, so we're not going to use the front here, although this has lots of cool stuff. What I'm going to do is just go into here, default, like this. And the two things we really need to do, or actually there's more than two, but two main things are transformation here and the level. So for the transformation, this is going to change our pitch. What I want to do is just put a big spike someplace in here. And I want this to be around the frequency that I really want to emphasize. If I want more higher frequencies, I might do it in the upper mid-range, like 2,000, 1,000, etc., maybe 4,000. If I want it to sound a little bit lower, maybe like 200, 300, etc. But I don't know if you can do the spike super low or super high, but let's give it a try. So I'll just put 1 point here. All you have to do is just double click to do this. I'm going to put another one here, and I'm just going to bring this one down. And I'll actually put another one here. So that way we're getting like a little triangle here. And we'll play this. Actually, I'll bypass it first so you can hear that again. Okay. And now turn on. So you hear like, okay, like it's really making like a glitch type sound here. Now this is probably a little bit lower in volume. Actually, I'm going to put on headphones myself here so I can hear this a little bit better. I'll try to turn this up in post, but let's listen to this. I'll turn up the output a little bit here. So hopefully as you did that, you could hear that as I moved this peak around, it got a little bit slightly different textures. So let's find a place that we like. Now, this isn't really the overall texture I like, but let's just find a frequency that I think sounds all right. Okay. Now, I had to turn the output up, but there's actually something we can do with that. But first, let's try to get something that sounds a little bit closer to what I want. We're going to go into the spectral settings. Now, if we move this up really high, we'll get more of the phasing sound, but it won't have too many transients. Sometimes this might be good. That's probably way too much for anybody. If you move it down, it'll sound actually more atonal. It already sounds atonal, but you'll get sharper transients like this. And that isn't really what I want, but I am hearing that, you know, wateriness. Wateriness, is that even a word? There, which is kind of what I want. So I think maybe 512 or 1024 might be the best. Let's try 512. That one's sounding better for now, but still it's not really sounding like what I want it to sound like. And the level is really important here. Now if we move this up, it'll kind of compress things like this. But the level can do something else besides just that. What it can do is it can isolate certain, and it's not a frequency spectrum, I guess, a volume spectrum or dynamic spectrum. So now it's playing everything, the loud parts and the quiet parts. But we can completely get rid of the loud parts of the signal, like this, and just focus on certain quiet parts, like this. As you heard, that makes things a lot less busy. So if I have it up like this, it sounds like, I don't know, like a babbling brook or something like that. But if I move it down like this, now, this will depend on the sample where you put this, but at certain areas of dynamics, like down really low here, this sample, I'm not getting too much, so it's almost kind of a calm sound where you're just getting little glitches every once in a while. Whereas if I move it up, I get more. So you can do this to kind of find the amount of busyness or excitement in your signal. I think that's sounding pretty good to me. And I can go, I might want to turn the output up a little bit. Now this can get loud, so I recommend it's always turning the limiter on. I didn't do that, but you should do that. And in here, we can go back here, and sometimes you can move this around and find something that may have sounded better than what we had before. Definitely not that. So as you can hear, there's lots of different sounds there, and you can really use this to transform your samples if you don't want them to just sound like what they are, basically. So I think you probably hear a big difference between this and this. And you can even blend them together like this. I think they actually blend fairly well together like that. So that's one thing. Let me see. I'll show you same thing on this other one. For these, because this works on the dynamic scale with volumes, doing it with a different sample, you oftentimes have to adjust it just because each sample has slightly different loudness and everything, and things that work on one may not work on the other without a bit of adjustment. So let's try that. Okay. And actually, let me show you something else. I'll go back all the way to the default here, and I'll do something kind of completely different, but this might be useful to you. So when you do this, and I start changing something, I won't go through everything, but let's say I just move it up like this. You might think like, oh, that's good, but I kind of want to like blend not between the wet and dry, but I kind of want to move this around. One way you can do this is using this transform here. So now it's at 100%. But listen as I move it from 100% down to 0. And of course, that works with even more complex shapes, like something like this. Like that. Let me clear the points. And you might think like, okay, that's cool, but I don't want it to just like blend between 0 and 100. I kind of want to move these around. And you might think, is there a way to do this? And actually you can do this. So if I have 2 of these points here, I just go here into the multi-parameters of MTransformer. I'll click clear and learn. Let's move these up, down like this. Move the other one up and down like this. There we go. And we have our points here. You see if we move this here, they move together. You may not want them moving together like this. I know I don't. So I'm going to just change this to invert and this one to invert. So that's our point 2 here. And now they're moving like this. And if we listen to them, it sounds like this. So it's kind of like a really crazy pitch shifter. You have a lot more control over all the different ways the pitch can move, which is really, really cool. You may not use that all the time, but it's cool if it's there. Now, getting back to what I was originally talking about samples and everything, once you've found a sound in here that you like, that you want for your sample, of course you can just go and do it through your DAW. But another thing you can do here is you see where it has wave here. All you have to do is just drag your sample over to that, and it will process it for you quickly and easily. You can do things in batches that way. For this, I might want to check each sample individually myself, but if you think it's okay, you can just put them all through here at once and be done with it. Be careful though, when you do this, it won't make a copy. So if you use your original sample, it's going to overwrite your original sample. So I recommend always using a copy first, seeing how it sounds, and if you're like, you know what, I really should have listened to Chandler, I should have checked each sample individually, you can just throw them away, make another copy, and do it again. So that's what I recommend, but I think that's a really easy way to do it. You can also click on this and find your samples yourself, and just do them manually like that too. So that's another way to do it. But I think there's a really cool way to make those types of modern samples you might hear in Botanica or something like that. So if you like this, give me a thumbs up, leave me any questions or comments down below, and let's enjoy 2025. So with that, thanks. Until next time, see you.